Welcome. In this video, we're going to get started with our playthrough of Descent: Legends of the Dark, published by Fantasy Flight Games. So this game is an app-driven dungeon crawler for 1 to 4 players. And if you do play solo, you still have to take on the role of 2 characters. So I'm going to start with the physical component setup, go over some basics of that before we get into the app for the main setup. For our lore, there is a guide, so if you want to get more involved in the story, got some more things to read here about the characters and how we've gotten to this point in the world. But me, I'm more of a small flavor text, 1-sentence kind of guy. And our Learn to Play guide, it's going to let us know that we do need the app, which we'll get out in a little bit. Fundamental concepts. We know that as a solo player, we still need to get 2 heroes. And while there are 6 heroes in the game, only 4 are available to start with. So we've got Brynn, Galladin, Cirrus, and Varix. And for me, I always like going with a melee piece and a ranged piece. So I've done a quick paint job on those that we'll be using. So we're taking Brynn and Galladin. So we can put the other 4 away, even though I do love the sculpt on this guy. Pretty awesome sculpt there. And these are our other heroes. We're using Galladin and Brynn, so we'll take a close look at that. All of our player sheets are dual-sided, so that gives them different abilities depending on what side they're on. So we're going to have their name, what they are. So we're an Elf Huntsman. We've got our movement points, our health, when we attack, what die we roll with. So that's letting us know we're rolling the D12. And for defense, we're rolling the D6. For tests that we take, we roll 2 D6s, and these are our modifiers for might, agility, insight, and will. This lets us know we can have up to 2 fatigue. So I've got a bunch of tokens on the side there. So we can have a max of 2 fatigue on here. Have a special ability as a light step. We can spend 1 fatigue during our turn to shift 1, which is basically moving. And we have a special ability here. When we roll that, we get to add a success. Then you may suffer a fatigue to prepare 1 card. So preparing means we can flip it for free without costing an action. And we'll go over our actions here in just a bit. And we can have medium armor assigned. And on our flip side, most of our things are going to be the same here. So you can see our stats remain the same. Our fatigue goes from 2 to 3. Our ability is a little bit different. So for 3 fatigue during your turn, expose an enemy in line of sight. So that's going to be a condition we can put on them. And had a success, and you may suffer fatigue to prepare a card, and still medium armor there. So that is Galladin and his abilities. And along with their player sheets, we're going to have a health dial, so we'll set that to 9. And each hero comes with 2 weapons. So here it tells you what keyword they have. So basically we've got a pierce and a slash, and the amount of damage, and if it's arranged. And then special abilities we can use for them, and fatigue we can put on them. And they're dual-sided also. So this is the starter version. And those 2 arrows there are upgraded. So the neat thing they have with that, we'll take these 2 cards. So the starter version is on both sides. And the game supplies us with a card sleeve. So as an action, we can change what weapon we're using with. And then for Brynn, movement of 3, 10 health, rolling a D6 for both attacks and defense. Her stats for checks, 3 fatigue here, steady defense. Spend 2 fatigue during your turn or an adjacent hero's defense, add 1 success. And for the surge ability, add a success and an adjacent hero may discard a fatigue. And she can have heavy armor. And on this side, stats are all the same. Does go from 3 to 1 for fatigue. The ability, as an action, shift 3, then attack an enemy. After this attack, flip this card. And the ability, add a success, an adjacent hero may discard a fatigue. So we will start on this side. And then for her weapons, she's got a Warden's Blade, slashing, 3 damage, special ability, can hold 2 fatigue, or a Weighted Warhammer, crushing and 3 damage. And the ability, we are going to start her with a Warhammer. Why not? And 10 health. So that is our characters starting off, and they're miniature for each. So we have a reference card going over the hero turn. So during your turn, you may perform 1 maneuver and 2 additional actions, and they can be the same or more. It's just the main thing. We cannot fight 3 times. It's a maneuver and possibly fight 2 more times or move 3 times. So the actions: explore, interact with terrain or a token on the board; fighting, attack with one of our weapons; maneuver, gain movement points equal to your speed, and you can interrupt your movement to do another ability and then continue your move. Ready, flip a card. So that is how we change from shooting with our bow to going to mirror blades. And unique actions, which I believe we saw over here. So as an action, she can shift for 3. I'm her to pretty much do a maneuver and a fight together. Going over our dice results. So the stars are successes, pluses are advantages. We can spend a fatigue to add a success, and surge abilities to resolve a surge ability, which we see with the lightning bolts on the cards. And on the flip side, go over different conditions we can have and enemy statuses. So I believe expose was one of the things. So 20% plus 20% on hero attack damage or things that can happen. Then taking a quick look at one of our terrain tiles, you can see they're 1-inch squares. So we can put our heroes on those spaces whenever we take a movement. Basically, diagonal, orthogonal, whatever, we can move 1 space. So he could potentially, if we had a creature there, move 1 space, attack, and then move away if you wanted to. One other thing on movement: when you're adjacent to enemies, say we start with 4 movement. As soon as we move adjacent to an enemy, we lose the rest of our movement. And if we start our turn next to it, we only have 1 movement instead of all 4. So we can move away as 1 maneuver action. And of course, certain things on the board will block your line of sight. But there is one neat thing about the app. If you're not sure about your line of sight, you can click on the app and it's going to let you know, hey, you can't see this through this tree. You need to move over to be able to see. And exploring, interacting with terrain. We can interact this tree. Maybe it's got some apples in it we can pick from it, or we could climb it just for the fun of it. So different things we can do there. So that's a quick explanation of our heroes and the actions they can take, and the basic look at maps and the different faces of the dice. And pretty much everything else we'll go over, we'll learn as we are fighting. So our goals are going to be determined by the app, and pretty much are going to be meet this objective without dying. So for setup, we're going to need the app. We'll bring out the computer in a second. Already got our hero components, got our heroes, a miniature, and their health, and their attack cards and reference cards. Created a supply. So I've got cards off to one side, dice sitting here, and tokens we've already seen. And now the maps or the app is going to tell us how we set that up. And also on the back of the rule book, got a quick reference for the round structure, actions, icons, keywords, conditions, and underlays. All right, so now you're going to need a tablet, iPad, or a computer, and the Descent app, which you can download for free. Just some quick things to look at. Down in the bottom left, we've got some settings. So we can look at that, see our options, and I've gone ahead and turned the music, sound effects, and hero voices off. We also have a glossary. So if we wanted to see what difficulty was or different words, what's advantage mean, we can see all that stuff. But mainly we want to get this game set up. So we're going to go to New Campaign, click on that. Enter a party name. So I am going to be a party of 1 and embark on our journey. So quest difficulties, enemy health stats on the journey is going to be easier. We've got standard, heroic, enemy health and damage is going to be higher, and warfare. Enemy defense is even higher and damage is even greater. We're just going standard because, like I said, new game. I don't know what's going on yet. So choosing standard and then confirming. And the app is thinking a little bit. Then the little D starts shining, lets us know we can click on it and continue. So the Elthiac, let's see, got a little story going on. Wokar the Undying and his army of the undead, the Dragon Lords. 3 times has Terrinoth been brought to the brink of ruin. And 3 times have great heroes risen to save it. So maybe we're going to be one of those heroes. But those heroes are gone and the evil has returned. It's not good. First of Terranol's 12 baronies has fallen to the Uthak Ilion, and I'm going to butcher some names. Council dispatch a great army to meet the threat, sending the Uthak scattering. Just see if the continue works, but what was a single enemy become 10,000? So on to more. Story, a small caravan has made camp along the road through the hanging woods. One group of travelers sits apart from the rest. 4 figures stare into the flames of their campfire, each with their own thoughts. The fire crackles. The only sound is in the summer night. We've nearly made it, Indris. Tomorrow we'll be in Frostgate, and then we can send our letters to the Baroness. Does the bird ever talk back? She's a fire spirit. She doesn't talk exactly. It's more of an empathic connection. While write to Baroness Adeline. So these are our 4 heroes just talking by the campfire since the accident that bonded me and Indris. Well, we have more or less wonder and look for opportunities to learn more magic. I'm hoping that Baroness Adeline will let me study her Alarians, those majestic birds Forthin is so famous for. I think they might be magical too. What about the rest of you? What comes next once we reach Frostgate? It doesn't matter. It has to matter. Silence reigns for a moment. Or I could just guess. How about we play a guessing game? All right, Bryn. It's Bryn, right? Let's see, I think. You were a hardened mercenary or you're a runaway princess fleeing an arranged marriage. So I feel like we should click this one, but we're going with runaway princess. You're a foreign princess who was engaged to a wicked, cruel, and much older man. In defiance of your parents' wishes, you fled, then took up the sword, and now live as a wandering adventurer so no one else might have to face a similar fate. Cannot be more wrong. I was born in Forthrin. Parents died years ago, which I guess means my aunt is my closest family. I left to study at the Citadel in Artnot and trained to be a marshal. The marshals were more or less wiped out by the Uthak, and now I'm headed home, one of the only survivors. The Uthak are a scourge on us all. So a lot of setup here. I was hoping it wouldn't be this detailed. And the book would explain more, but it seems like we've got a lot of flavor going into this. So I'm so sorry, Bren, if you ever want to talk. Galadin, you're next, I think. The group chooses. You are writing a travelogue, or you are hunting the White Hart. We'll go with the travelogue. You're traveling all over the world, writing a travelogue for well-to-do nobles in Donsmore or Lilithan. No. Well, what then? Did you lose someone to the Uthak too? Is that how you lost your hearing? Lost my hearing in early adulthood, as is very common in my bloodline, and I don't care to answer any more questions. Reading everyone's lips by firelight is draining enough without dwelling on my past. Pastor Varix, if you want to learn more of our past, it's their next turn. Leave me out of this. Seems like a good decision. Oh, much too late, Varix, I think. You're searching for, or you're traveling to. We'll go with traveling. Enough, my history is easy to guess. I did not tear my own wings to shreds. The hybrid drags one talon across a tattered mass of scars along one arm, while there remains of their wings. As for who tore them and why, that information is private. I will not share it with chance met traveling champions who happened to be escorting the same caravan. The Dragon Lord who attacked Kel, did you have anything to do with the time when all my kin served the Dragon Lords? Is long past. Some still do, but others have found a different path, a better path. I serve no dragon. Let's focus on the caravan. I saw lights through the trees, not that far away, a guard tower. One of the barony's watchtowers guarding the road north, yes. With them so close by, we should have an uneventful night. The caravan settles down for the night, merchants and hostlers spreading out into the surrounding woods for privacy and comfort. Surely with the watchtower close by, they will be safe. So select the heroes for our quest. We've already picked, it's going to be Bryn and Galadin. And we will confirm. So even if we were near a watchtower, we should set a watch, Bryn says. Any volunteers? As a group, choose which hero should be on watch. Well, we got a ranger for a reason. I'll take first watch. I'm the only one with decent night vision anyway, grumbles Galadin. Galadin is on watch. So continue. At first, the night passes uneventfully, with Galadin watching over the others as they sleep. But of course, no great tale begins on a quiet night. Galadin spots movement in the shadows not far from the caravan, and the dark shapes too sinister to be animals pass between trees and linger behind bushes. Something is not right. All right, welcome to Descent, Legend of the Dark. You have begun the first quest in the campaign. This quest will teach you how to use the Descent Legends of the Dark app. When a new role is introduced, this tutorial will tell you where to learn more in the Learn to Play booklet. This app also includes an in-app rules reference that we've already looked at that describes more details, rules, and exceptions. If you want to learn more about the underlays or any other game rules, consult the in-app rules reference from the app's options menu or by tapping and holding on highlighted words. So the movement in the dark draws Galadin toward a nearby lake. Place tile 10B and 1 water underlay. All right, so back to the table view, looking at the computer, it's showing us that we're looking for 10B. So we've got numbers on here, and it's showing that the underlay is going to fit underneath these squares like so. So we'll try to fit this down here. Then hit continue. Each underlay has a different mechanical effect. For a quick reference, tap on the underlay. You can learn more about underlays on page 23 of the Learn to Play guide. Or on the back, it's going to let us know that water, when spending movement points to move out of a water space, a hero or enemy must spend 1 additional movement point. So we can jump in the water, it's just going to be harder for us to move. App includes an in-app rules reference that describes more detailed rules. So continue. To the west of the lake, dark shapes twitch and filter among creakily swaying branches. Place a sight token. So these are dual-sided. So sight on that side. And then to the east of the lake, a pathway continues. The darkness, a friend to bandits and mercenaries. You cannot shake the feeling of being watched. Place a sight token. So place another one. This is a sight token. When a hero moves adjacent to a sight token, immediately resolve its effect by dragging the hero's portrait to the token. To learn more about sight tokens, use the in-app rules reference on page 9 of the Learn to Play. So they're showing you basically user glossary or point it in the right direction in the rules reference. In the darkness and lost in thought, you stray a little further from the camp than intended on your watch. Place Galadin on the highlighted space. The rest of the party will be placed later. So Galadin has the option of going right here or right there. And continuing. Our objectives updated. Investigate the darkness around the lake and continue. So for the hero phase, this is where we're going to take 3 actions each. And he's the only one that can do anything. So first action is maneuvering. He's got a movement of 4. He's just going to go 1, 2, interact with this token. So what we do there is find his character and not click on it. So if I press the right button and point it there, clouds roll in, blocking out what little lights the moon provided. Though it is no matter, as seeing in the dark feels second nature to a hunter such as yourself. The pathway forward is just as clear to you now as it would be in the day. Discard the sight token. And continue. So place tiles 5B, 11B, and 2 water underlays. And it's got that laid out how everything goes. So it looks like our water underlays are going like that. 5B is continuing there. And that is popping up in that space. And continue. Place a tree. Done. Most terrain is interactable. A hero adjacent to a piece of terrain may perform an explore action to interact with it by dragging the hero portrait to that terrain. Terrain can hold different rewards, including crafting materials. You can learn more about terrain, and the rules reference are on page 22 of the rulebook. We've got another site token to place. And spawning an enemy. So we found a wolf. And in here we can see that it's going to be orange, and put the one closest. So for the colorblind, you can't tell that that's orange. It's got a notch of 1 for the wolf, and he's in front of the tree by 2 spaces. See if I can flip that around. Yeah, so we can adjust the map to our liking. Probably would have been easier on my iPad, but I can record better on this. And Uthak prowls in the darkness. We're spawning a Berserker too, and he will pop up there. You're under attack. A hero may perform a fight action against an enemy within range and line of sight by dragging their hero portrait to the enemy's portrait in the enemy view screen. To learn more about the fight action, use the app or learn to play a guide. And continuing on. The sounds of battle, your companions jump into action. Place the remaining heroes in the highlighted spaces. So this is closest to the wolf, so that's where Bryn will jump in. And continue on. Objective updated, defeat the enemies. Continue. During each hero phase, each hero takes a turn. During their turn, a hero may perform up to 3 actions in any order. 1 maneuver action and 2 additional actions are the choice. Learn more about that in the rules reference or page 8. After Galladon finishes their turn, each other hero may take a turn. After all heroes have finished, remember to end the phase, which is down here in the bottom right. So continue on. So some other things we can do here. I know they said we have a line of sight guide. So select a tile space to view line of sight. So we are currently sitting there. And that's letting us know what's directly adjacent. Then in the orange is if we had something with reach, and yellow is range. So basically we can see the whole board from here. So if we were next to that tree, there's some spaces we can't see, which we can now see. So actually we can't see that one space there because we can't see off the map. Anyway, getting out of the line of sight tool. And so we were in the middle of a movement. So we moved 2 spaces. We still have 2 movement left, but we can go ahead and shoot with our bow. So this is letting us know we have a range of 4 and it does 2 damage and piercing. And this lets us know we roll a blue die for that. So we can get prepared. So there's 2 ways of doing this. I believe we can click here and then drag to the wolf is one way. Select the equipment we're using. We're using our bow. So Pharaoh, after the attack, this enemy shifts 1 space towards you. Then if it is adjacent to you, you suffer 1 damage. Status. So if we apply status effects, we can put that in here. And these are going to be our successes. So we are rolling a blue die. And that is all we got. Just a surge, which is at a success, then you may suffer 1 success to prepare a card. Or suffer fatigue. So preparing a card, put this token on it. During their turn, a hero may discard a prepare token from one of their cards to flip that card without performing a ready action. And we'll go ahead and do that, actually. So it's going to be 1 success. We'll take a prepare token, and we'll go ahead and put that on ourselves, along with the fatigue to do that. So when we spend fatigue that way, we can put it on any cards in play, but if we're doing an ability on a card, we have to put our fatigue on that card. So if we're spending 2 fatigue for this, we couldn't put it on our hero card. It has to go on the card we're using. So 1 success. We will confirm. Doing 2 damage. We can look through here and it lets us know that we had a base 2 damage and it blocked nothing. And continue. It's going to give us an enemy ability reminder. Pharaoh, after the attack, this enemy shifts one space towards you. Then if it is adjacent to you, you suffer damage. So it's going to come one space closer to us. And continue. So we've done half of maneuver, one full attack. So I'm going to attack again, but before I do, I don't want him to be able to move closer. We've got 2 more movement left. And I think we're going to go 1, 2. So I've used all of our 4 movements. We still have this in our range for our bow. So another thing we can do is just click on our enemies, and it shows them a little bit more, showing our wolf has 22 health, possible 1 defense, and the berserker 18 health and possible 1 defense. Once again, we are shooting at the wolf with the bow, rolling our blue die. A success and a surge. So this time, so we get the 1 success automatically. The surge, we're going to add another success. We're not going to spin that, but what we are going to do is spend 2 fatigue. During your attack, add a success. If the enemy is 3 or more spaces away from you, reduce this cost by 1. So we're going to spend a fatigue. That has to go on this card to add another success. So we've got 3 successes, no status, confirming on that. So we just did 5 damage, not the best. There's the breakdown, 6 base damage, but it did block 1 and continue. So we did our 1 maneuver along with 2 attacks, so done there. So on the Brynn, oh yes, after this thing attacked, it's moving 1 more space. We're going to not move it in the water since it can't actually get there. Then Brynn is going to do some movement. So that was 2 out of 3. Going to make an attack with the weighted Warhammer. So just reminding, it's shifting, but it's already adjacent to us. We roll a d6. And we got 2 successes. And we could spend 2 fatigue to add a success and then move the enemy a space away from us, but it's going to move right back on us. Don't feel like spending 2 fatigue just for that. So 2 successes. Confirming. We did 5 damage. And continue. And it's going to move closer, but it's already adjacent and deal 1 damage to us, down to 9. Then for our next action, attack it again. Their Warhammer. Rolling the d6. So we've got a success and a surge. We can add a success, and an adjacent hero may discard a fatigue. So we're going to end up with 2 successes. Doing 6 damage. And it's happy where it's at. Hits us for 1, down to 8 health. All right, end phase. We are done. So the darkness phase. So when time passes, we will resolve any infection and terror abilities on us. We currently don't have any, but they're not good. So when time passes during the darkness phase, the hero suffers damage equal to the number of infection tokens on their cards. And terror. And when time passes during the darkness phase, the hero suffers 1 fatigue on each of their cards that has a terrify token on it. And each hero may discard 1 fatigue. She doesn't have any. We do over here. We're going to take it off her bow. And continue. Now the enemies are going to attack us. So the Berserker wants to target Brynn. Bloodlust. After the defense, the Berserker shifts one toward and attacks a second hero if possible. That's got a movement of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Not going to make it to anybody, so it would be doing 4 damage and no range. And since no defense, no more movement. So out of range is good. So the wolf wants to target Brynn. Savagery before the defense. If the target is wounded, each other hero suffers 2 fatigue. Not wounded. It's got 3 movement. Doesn't need to. It's right where it needs to be and doing 3 damage. So for our defense, we're rolling a die. It's got 3 successes. So each success we get is going to prevent damage. So 2 successes. We're blocking 2 out of the 3, down to 7 health. And done. The Berserker howls, wide eyes gazed at Galden with unfathomable rage. So back to the hero phase. So there is no turn order. It's just when we start with one person, we have to finish. So we can start here and then go to the Ranger or vice versa. And figures do not block line of sight. Just terrain. So we can easily shoot through here if we want to. So we are going to start with our maneuver. Moving here, triggering that. So here we can look on that to go back to the map. Pathway around the lake becomes clear. Discard both sight tokens. And place tile 4B. So we've got a way around the lake. We get a tree in the corner. Ooh, that was good. Spawn a bandit. All right, I think that guy's the bandit. Yep. All right. Well, I didn't like that change of events. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're still going to shoot. See if we can kill one of the enemies now that I've made more. And we still have 3 movement left. So going after the wolf. Using our bow. Rolling the blue die. And we have a success and an advantage. So we can spend a fatigue to make that a success. So we've got 2 successes. Confirm. Doing 4 damage. Still alive. After the attack, the enemy shifts 1 space towards you. Then it is adjacent to you suffer damage. So that's the closest. Continue. And take another shot with our bow. And hopefully destroying this time. I think, well, the 1 success should do it. We'll spend a fatigue on that to make it 2 successes because the defense comes into play. Confirm. 4 damage. So even though normally it might have 1, it's random, so we actually did the 4 damage there. And continue. Your foe crumples to the ground in the water. Remove the wolf. And we're going to retreat. 1, 2, 3. And then for here, so movement of 3. 1, 2, and we lose the rest of our movement for being adjacent. It's called impeding in this game. Then making an attack. So going after the Berserker with our hammer. And 3 successes. Confirming, so we did 9 damage there. Continue, and make another attack with our hammer and hope we do just as good. 1 and a surge. So basically, let's see. Surge is going to make it 2. And we'll spend 2 fatigue. So during your attack, add a success. After this attack, you may move the enemy 1 space from you. Confirm. 8 damage, 1 health left. Ah, so close. So the defense blocked 1. We may move him a space away. Sure, we'll move him in the water. That's going to end our phase. Well, I guess we can move 1 space away. No, our movement points was taken to 0 once we got next to it. So end phase. So for darkness, no infection or tear, we can discard a fatigue from each. And hope these guys don't want to attack us. Unfortunately, the Berserker wants to go towards Galadin. It's got a movement of 4. So if he moves here, he loses the rest of his movement. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So can't make it to Galadin. So he'll be just as happy going after Brynn, who is already hurting. 5 damage. We're down to 7. So 5 minus 2. So 1 plus a surge. So we're taking 3. Down to 4 health. Then the bandit wants to go after Brynn. Serrated Bolt. During the defense, the first time the hero places a fatigue on a card, they also scar it. And scar is nasty. So when you're scarred, when a hero flips a card that has a scar token on it, that hero suffers 2 damage. Now, typically flipping your cards over removes all the tokens on it, which is generally a good thing, unless it's scarred. It's going to remove the token, but you take 2 damage with no defense. I think that's how it works. I can hover over scar. Here, if the game effect would cause, they gain the scarred token. Hero flips. Hero suffers 2 damage. So I don't think we get our defense on that. Hit the back button. All right, back to the fight. All right, so it wants to be within 2 and a movement of 3. So easily 1, 2, 3 gets it right within a range of 2. 4 damage coming in. We're going to defend. Blocking 3, so taking 1. And since we don't want to be scarred during the defense, the first time the hero places a fatigue, we're not fatiguing. 3 health. That's not cool. The bandit pulls out several knives with one hand and raises a fully loaded repeating crossbow with the other. Back to the hero phase. So the Berserker has 1 health left. The bandit, 17. So we are going to move 1. And we only had 1 movement because we started adjacent to someone. Then attack on the Berserker. Using our mighty weighted Warhammer, which is a D6, 3 successes. I would like to think that's going to do at least 1 damage. It did 8 damage. This guy should be dead. Your foe crumbles to the ground. Remove the Berserker. And then for our third action, second fight, we're going after the bandit. With our trusty Warhammer. After the attack, this enemy shifts 2 away from the hero. That can be annoying. 3 successes at least. Eight damage, and done. 2 away, 1, 2. And continue, so done. I want to get within 4 for a range there, so 1, 2, 3. Four. Take a shot with their bow. And 1, 2, he's going to move out of range with this next shot. That's unfortunate. So we got a success and advantage. So we'll spin this for the advantage. Then we're going to put a fatigue on the bow to use its ability during your attack. Add a success if the enemy is 3 or more spaces away from you. We reduce the cost. So we're doing 1, 2, 3. And confirming that, doing 9 damage. All right. So if they don't survive, they don't shift. Crumbles to the ground, remove the bandit. All right, more goodies. Clouds over the moon part, illuminating the clearing. A bear in a watchtower stands not far away. Place an archway, a chest, a door, and a well. All right, our archway, along with a door. Got a well and a chest. We have 1 action left we're going to use to move next to this tree and end our turn. Or at least our setup. Make sure nothing else comes up. Objective updated. Enter the watchtower. Some tokens and terrain can give you a clue as to what is inside or what attribute you'll need to test. Tap on them to get a preview of what could lie within. Try tapping on the chest or the well to learn about them. Well-crafted lock holds the chest closed. You need a deft hand to manipulate the tumbles and open the lid. And the well. The water shimmers, inviting the weary to taste. So we are done with the end phase. For darkness, discard some fatigue. And continue. And back to the hero phase. So what we are going to do is Galadin is going to interact with the tree. Tree has round green fruit on the lower branches, plants and mushrooms growing up its side, and a sturdy trunk you could climb in. We can forage plants, pick fruit, or climb the tree. We're going to forage some plants. Forge on and around the tree looking for anything of interest. The following has been added to your inventory to be used later. So you've got 15 herbs from some leaping spores. And continue. Then we're going to maneuver. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to interact with the well. The water is clear and without motion. We can, well, toss a coin is taken out. We can drink. We haven't taken any damage. Or search your reflection. We'll do that. Peering down into your own eyes, you contend with what you see and what you do not. Test insight. So in making a test, we roll the 2d6s. And our insight is -1. So not our best test. So we've got 3 successes, and that allows us, so 4 successes -1. 3 is probably not going to be good. You are held captive by terrible memories and are only set free by a jarring vision. Your expression melts into the face of your foe. As foul stench rises from the now cursed waters, you may prepare 2 cards. And I believe these have to be our cards. So this is already prepared, so we can prepare that, which is nice. Probably should have done this before I did this test. I'm going to prepare for freeze, so not an action to flip this over, which gets rid of the fatigue. So if I would have timed this right, of course I didn't know what was coming, we could have got a prepare token on that. All right, so we're done with Galadin. 3 actions here. Movement of 3, we'll go 1, 2. Interact with this tree. Tree has round green fruit. So just like the other one, so we've got pick the fruit, forage plants, or climb the tree. We're going to pick the fruit. Pick one of the low-hanging fruits off the tree. As you bite into it, it has a sweet taste, a little tart at the end. You feel revived. Heal 2. So we'll go up to 5 health. And you know what? We're going to interact with the tree again. This time we are going to forage the plants. All right, you forage on and around the tree looking for anything of interest. The following has been added to your inventory to be used later. 5 Curios, 1 Fortunos from some moldy bubbles, and 1 Vigos from some fireweed. And that is going to end our phase. We do have 1 movement left. We'll use it. So into darkness. Infection, terror, and discard fatigue. Continue on, see if anything busts through the door. On to the hero phase. All right. Guess that's promising. We're going to send him over here. 1, 2, 3. And interact with the chest. Well-crafted lock holds chest closed. We need a deft hand. So testing agility. Our agility is a +1. 7, so 8. I feel good on that one. Now the following has been added to your inventory to be used later. So we've got 21 metal for some Shadowborn chains. 4 metal and 17 minerals from a glowing core, and a Nightfall Tale recipe. So I guess we can use some of these materials to do some crafting when we go to town. And looks like that went away. Didn't know that was going to go so good. Probably should have looked at something over here. So we moved and interacted. I'll just move here next to the door. Then here, 1, 2, 3, and interact with the well. May perform an additional action. And one, two, three, and interact with the tree with that additional action. Climb the tree, see if we can hurt herself. Prop your foot on a low branch and attempt to leverage yourself into the tree. Test your might. Our might is +2, so feel pretty good about climbing the tree. So we've got 5, 6, 7. You definitely swing up the branches. Find yourself with a great vantage point. You may prepare 2 cards. And that is enough to prepare both of our cards. So we are going to continue. We're done with our turn. I'm going to end it here. We'll go ahead and do the end phase. So darkness phase comes. We can remove fatigue. We don't have any. Hero phase, and see if we save this game. Yep, save and quit. So I feel like that's a good starting point before we knock on the door and see who's home. So this is set up. Hit to continue, and we are done with just a small portion from our first scenario. So quick impressions using the app, going back and forth. I mean, I think in a large group, I think I've said this before, I feel like games like this are good for 1 to 2 players. If you had to pass this around the table, unless you had a big TV set up where everyone can see it. In playing solo with the map here and the computer here, It's not too distracting, but I can understand. I mean, if you're not into apps, you're not into apps. It's definitely not a game for you. But you still get the joy of rolling dice. So far, intrigued. Good to see what happens next. So when we come back, we'll kick in the door and see what's behind there. So as always, hope you enjoyed our initial playthrough battle. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.